a lot of these parents that have children, a lot of them aren't innocent. And it's been this way for a long time now. Because society is corrupted, and that has an effect on everybody. What they think is acceptable or normal, things that they don't even acknowledge. And because of that, they end up treating other people based on that corruption. And because of that, a lot of these parents, historically through the generations, unfortunately have been very either neglectful or abusive to their children, and have very inappropriate behavior towards their children, where they don't really care about their child, or they take out their emotions on the child, or they use them in ways that are just no human should be treated that way. So there's a lot of parents out there that are very I would say the word immoral and perverted when it comes to their children, and they don't really think anything of it. If they could take advantage, some of them, I'm saying some of them, not all of them, but there are a lot of them out there. If they could take advantage of them or other children, they will. If it makes them feel better, if it, I don't know, does something to them, strokes their ego, I don't know. But it's a thing. A lot of parents use their children to get to higher positions of power, or more higher social status, to get a better paying job. They'll use their children to basically like traffic them, and you know, they'll do this a lot, especially with like really younger kids, because they'll be told like something like, oh, like don't worry, they won't remember. So then they'll do that to get whatever reward they want, and at the same time they also get their ego stroked or some weird shit like that, where they like get off on it, like because they don't see their child as a separate, sovereign, living being. They see them as like an extension of themselves. So it's like a property thing, or like a pet or a property type of situation. So they think they could just use you like an object however they want, and that's what they did to their children, to a lot of children. And they like to blur the lines and be like, oh, well, it wasn't that bad, or it could have been worse, or oh, it was like just like a 1 or 2 time thing and you were so young. Like, no, it's not an excuse. I think a lot of parents get tempted when they get into involved in corrupt organizations and dealing with crooked people, and they really want to make money. They want to elevate themselves in the social hierarchy, and they'll use their children as a way to get that, by basically selling them off one way or another, sometimes literally. It's so fucking common. It really is. This isn't some like elaborate like necessarily intentional system that's going on in all of these instances. A lot of this is just like, unfortunately, like imprinted into the culture of society in so many different societies in humanity today. It's probably been this way for a very long time too. And that's just some of the things that happen. And of course, when that child grows up, there's a lot of things that can happen. They could obviously develop a lot of like mental and emotional problems. Sometimes that turns inwards. Sometimes it turns inwards and outwards. Sometimes it could create another cycle where that person who was abused then does the same thing to other people. Obviously not always, but I'm saying that that can happen. Usually when empathy is completely obliterated. Which is a horrible thing that trauma can do to people. But the child grows up and they're expected to just be an adult now. And a lot of times these things are repressed. These memories are repressed because they're so horrific, they're so horrible, that it's like, it can't be true. And plus, no one would believe the now adult to speak about these things that happen because they're so horrific. They're so like, you know, it's like a character assassination of, you know, their parents. And it also raises bigger questions that make other people uncomfortable, because then they realize, well, if this is so commonplace and something like that could happen within that family and parents could do that to their children, then who's to say that didn't happen to me or to other people I know? And it's like, yeah, it is that common. So then they grow up, they either get gaslit, or these things are repressed and they don't know how to heal them. So then that just like is festering within them. Maybe they find a good therapist, but like I said, like, that is like, you know, finding good support, especially when you're raised in a system like this and you've experienced trauma like that. Being able to find safety and make safe connections and relationships and friendships and build support, or even just navigating basic life, it makes it so much more difficult. Because everyday life, like doing what you're supposed to be doing as an adult, it becomes that much more harder, because that thing that happened to you as a child, it was never acknowledged. There was no accountability held. There was no safety. There's nothing. You just get traumatized and then gaslit and then shamed and condemned and then told to just shut up and, you know, grow up, or, you know, that it's not true. Or, you know, worst case, you know, nobody would understand you. And you might not even be aware of the degree of what you've experienced, because you haven't found enough time and space to have that safety within yourself, to even explore that within yourself, because it's that horrific. And that you needed to protect yourself by not fully acknowledging it within yourself, or else you wouldn't be able to cope. You wouldn't be able to survive. You wouldn't be able to get through the day. But no, now you're expected to pay for the help you need to try to recover. You know, you don't get any safety. You don't get like any support. You don't get any guaranteed understanding or anything. And if you feel emotional, if you feel frustrated, if you feel depressed, then, oh, it's you. You're the problem. No, it's the environment. that created all these issues. Mountain, an overwhelming mountain of horrific and unjustifiable deeds that have been done. Crimes against humanity, crimes against the soul. And it's not easy holding it together. How can you? But you're doing it somehow. For what? We gotta find a way to fit into this world, into this society, into the social ladder, this stupid hierarchy that's built on blood money. And you're expected to conform and to fit in, to find a place, or else you're out. You don't have a voice, you don't matter, you're nothing. You don't exist. You're not real. You become invalid. And then you start to feel unworthy of anything good because you were never given that. You were never given that love, that unconditional love and safety. Your reality was never mirrored back. So then, what do you turn to? Sex, drugs, alcohol, addictions of any kind, of any sort. Trying to numb yourself, trying to medicate yourself, trying to heal yourself in any way you know how. Trying to control yourself, your situation, your life, any way you know how. But no, the problem's you. Right? You get keep getting told, and then you get condemned, like, oh, you are this, you are that, you are depressed, you are depression, you are an addict, you are addiction. As if that's like a life sentence, but it's not, because that's not true. That's a lie. It's a lie being projected onto you to take that in, to categorize you, to identify you, because the truth is unidentifiable within the system. Because if you were truly identified for who you really were, and your truth was actually validated and heard and respected, you would then invalidate this fucked up system and this world and all the bullshit that tries to tell you you're wrong, you're crazy, shut up, get in line. And then you're surrounded by a lot of people. So many people. And a lot of them don't understand. Or at the very least, they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to address it. They don't want to acknowledge it. They don't want to acknowledge you. They don't want to see you. They don't want to hear you. Because again, if you can't fit in, then you're wrong. Your voice doesn't matter. You do not exist. You're invalid. You might as well be a ghost or some other mythical creature like a unicorn or a fairy or an alien while we're at it. You're only recognized as being a human only as much as you can conform and be seen as familiar or acceptable within the standards of society and what is viewed and accepted widely as being ideal or correct in their eyes.